Sono legato! Okie dokie.
But it's kind of embarrassing because I'm just racing. All my main concern is just getting the show on the road, you know, and whatever it takes, I'll do it.
"1980, in my opinion, is the most important year for metal. So that creates an obvious question of, well, what the hell happened next year, 1981? And, well, it was really just a worse 1980. For starters, most of the classic legacy bands were kinda just repeating what they did in 1980 for 1981. There was barely any innovation happening this year, with two major exceptions, which we will get to. And even then, a lot of bands went through a huge downgrade between 1980 and 1981. So, it's not looking great. But hey, chin up, you young cuckold. There's plenty of good that came out in 1981. And we're gonna go through it all when I rate every metal album from 1981 on Spotify. We went over this last time if you watched the last video. And if you haven't, go watch it. Now, I want the views. This must have made every single Dungeons & Dragons player of 1981 feel like the biggest badass in the room. I can confirm nowadays, it does not hold this power. The Wild, the Willing, and the Innocent's goal as an album was to return to the old edge and grit of UFO in the 70s. One of UFO's skills as a band is failing to achieve its goals. Picture is just one of those albums you want to hit from the back. Front half is fine, kind of boring, but that back half, ooh, that's hot. I won't lie, the vocalist certainly overdoes it on some songs. I mean, it sounds like he's in the middle of an intense edging session in the back of a math class. But the damn fine riffage on this album more than makes up for the weird moan screams. Fun fact for you, the album cover actually depicts Paul Di'Anno, after being fed up for decades of people ignoring the first two Iron Maiden albums. Difficult to Cure is a shockingly decent album. Until you remember this is also the band that made Rising. That's typically the moment I fall to the floor and weep, wondering, what the hell happened? I find Riot is most famous for their absolutely chicanerous album covers. Like, what the hell is this cover, bro? But past that, Riot makes music, bound to make you riot. You can't see, but I totally just winked. Point of Entry is an ever so glorious example of when a mainstream sellout album doesn't go to plan. I mean, I never inherently want a band to fail, but they also made Screaming for Vengeance the next year, so I am incredibly bashful over this album's failings. Crocus, for the millionth time, you cannot make a career out of just making AC/DC music. You actually have to make your own style. Can somebody please get this guy vocal lessons? Please, I am so tired of my ears bleeding every time I have to listen to Accept. Children of the Earth is legitimately one of the best metal songs of 1981. So I'm really craving to know how the hell the rest of this album sucks such massive ass. I want you all to apologize right now. Despite More making some of the best new wave of British heavy metal, they have no monthly listeners. So, yeah, better start apologizing right now, punk. Actually, that's not how you spell tiger. But, hey, I'll look past it, because I must admit Spellbound was the first album to give me ear orgasms. This is the band that made Glory Road. What the f***? Okay, imagine this. Female Motorhead with the grit and speed people love about Motorhead. Surprise, surprise, it actually kicks ass. I don't know a damn lick of Spanish, but this album still got me twerking. If that doesn't say anything, nothing will. What an excellent album by a band I will not name out of fear of my YouTube overlord. What the hell are these track titles? School Love? Bedroom Game? Ooh Baby Baby? Bondage? Hot Child? What the Why the hell are all the bad albums getting the dope ass art? Bruce Dickinson improved a lot from his last album with Samson. The rest of the band did not improve at all and actually got kinda worse. I guess that's why Bruce joined the iconic metal gods known as Iron Maiden, and the rest of the band stayed as Samson. Oh, come on. This is barely metal. If anything, this is just really, really edgy rock. Which also happens to be really, really good, really, really edgy rock. Oh, yay, I'm so happy Plasmatics made another album after releasing one of the biggest pieces of garbage to my ears of 1980. Wow, this is a real step up, guys. My ears bled slightly less than last time. If I was a child in the 1980s, shopping for records, and I came across High and Dry by Def Leppard, I wouldn't buy it. The album cover is ugly as hell, but that decision would also be a great mistake, because this is a goddamn masterpiece! Damn! Blackfoot somehow made an album that sounds more American than the goddamn American anthem. Jesus Christ! End of the World is a little harsh of a description. I mean, it's accurate. This isn't a very good album, but I think they went a little far describing their album, because it's bad, but it's not the end of the world. I think Michael Stinker should really get out of the music scene and look into graphic design, because the music here, average, plain, but the logo, MSG. Oh my god, is that not the most beautiful logo I have ever seen in my entire goddamn life? Earthshaker is not terrible, it's just generic, uninspired, not fun, boring, bland, frickin' the porridge of albums. And for that, it gets a very, very heavy finger wag. The music on offer here is excellent, but what's even more excellent is the fashion tip in the album title. Denim and leather is such a godly pairing of clothing that I know for a fact I'ma be playing some fat pipe in a few weeks. Don't at me though if I don't end up doing that. This album proves Spain has been hoarding all the good metal this year. And on the one hand, great for them, honestly. They didn't have a presence in the scene in the year before, and now they're completely smashing it, bro. But on the other hand, there is absolutely no way that Spanish metal does not scare the hoes. Like, what do I do? Heroes, Saints, and Fools is what I believe to be the very first progressive metal album. And with that fact, I have to warn you now that I do not care for your responses of saying, I don't understand the depth of progressive metal. In actuality, if my ears don't love something, I'm not giving it a 10, no matter how complex you think it is. Unlike the first Picture album, I'd actually hit this album from the front or the back. Problem being that neither experience would be enjoyable as the back of the first album. You know, this album is overall less sexy as an individual than the back half of the first album. I know my science is complex, but if you really apply yourself, you will understand. Ozzy, you cheeky wanker. We all know that it wasn't just a coincidence that this came out one day before Black Sabbath's next album. Is Mob Rules as good as Heaven and Hell? No way. But is it fair to expect any album to be as good as Heaven and Hell? No way. Too Fast for Love is a great album. And that's shocking, because glam metal and great are two words that just do not go together. Renegade is like a Popeye's chicken sandwich on moldy buns. It's still delicious. The middle chunk, the 3 songs in the middle of this album, are excellent. That's our chicken. The rest of the album is our moldy ass buns and toppings. Ruins the experience. But at the end of the day, the middle bit is still chicken, which causes immense enjoyment nonetheless. It's a shame, because I'd really love the Birthday Eve if the vocalist wasn't wailing in my goddamn ear the entire album. This is the same band that released Spellbound, not even a few months earlier. The fact you could lose so much skill in the span of a few months absolutely flabbergasts me to my very core. Oh, so it's not just Spain that's dominating the metal genre this year. It's the entire goddamn Spanish language, because this slaps as well. Redemption. It's a chance to make up for the mistakes of one's past. Gillan made a mistake called Future Shock, and here we see an example of not redeeming oneself, because this also inhales complete and utter ass. I would just like to imagine that at this time there was some Iron Maiden fan who thought Iron Maiden was the heaviest shit in the world, and then that Iron Maiden fan would eventually run into a Venom fan who would proceedingly stab him, blast his ears with Venom music, and for the first time in history would refer to another metal fan as a poser. Yeah, breaking the chains is pretty bad, but I think Dokken can find a lot of improvement in themselves if 1, they grew out their hair to extreme proportions, and 2, got super slutty. You know, I really admire the Rod's consistency in delivering the most generic, uninspired metal album every single year. They're truly the very best at that one skill. My most sincere apologies towards you, heavy metal army. But I don't hear much metal here. Instead, I hear an oppressive influx of 80s synths filling my ears, leaving me wondering where the actual metal is. How would it feel if I did the whole video talking like this? Yeah, that's the entire album. That's how the album sounds. So if you don't like that, you best run. Hard as Rock is a great album with a relatable title. The only problem being the production makes it a little crispy, you know, it just comes out of the speakers a little crunchy, you know. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was metal in 1981. Was it one of the best years in metal? Oh god, no. No, hell no. But it had a lot of innovative albums. It had a lot of good albums. It had a lot of garbage albums. It was what I would deem an average year in metal, which leaves me very excited for 1982, because it's impossible that we're gonna have 2 mid-years in a row, right? Right? I also want to take this time to just thank you guys for the positive support and feedback I received from the 1980 video. It's by far my best performing one thus far, and it made my month. It might have made my year for all we know, but it would have been impossible without y'all. So I owe you my gratitude and my thanks. Thank you. And if you enjoyed this one to a similar extent, you know, you could continue to make my month and like and subscribe. Just feel free to shit on my takes, because I was definitely packing the steam this year with the hot takes. And that's a wrap. I mean, I'm hard at work already on the 1982 video, which will be out in a few weeks, because I gotta listen to every metal album from a year to get those videos done. So I hope you understand why they take a while. Anyhow, have yourself a very great rest of your day. Now the video's over, you can screw off now. Catch you Gumpkins later. Kisses.